Hello, welcome to Yoga Rach. I'm Rach. Thank you very much for joining me. We are in our week 2 for our Taurus practice or sequence. So it was new moon on Saturday, just gone, May the 4th. Last Thursday, you had our very first practice for Taurus, where we were going through our new mudra and mantra. So you might start with that practice and then move into this. In our second week, we're going through quite a slow, deliberate, we're holding poses, but trying to stay active. So it's noticing the difference with being active and being passive. Are you doing something for the sake of doing it? Or are you actively involved? Are you actually actively engaged in what you're doing on the mat as well as off the mat? So Taurus is all about the earth, it's about stability, it's also about endurance, being in it for the long haul. And in our previous sequence with Aries, which was quite dynamic, we want to make sure that we're looking after that strength that we found in our shoulders and in our neck and in our core by bringing in a little bit of fluidity and flexibility while staying active. So sometimes we can passively go into a stretch and not really be aware that we're there. Or can you stay in that moment of what we're working with or what we're practicing on? So we're going to start in either child's pose or puppy pose. See which feels more comfortable for you, for your hips, your knees, your neck and your shoulders. So come up into tabletop. If you're moving into child's pose, knees can stay hip width or take the knees wider, drawing the toes together. Pull the tailbone towards the heels. Rest your forehead on the mat. Arms might stay extended, or it might be more comfortable to bring the hands down by your feet. If you're moving into puppy pose, Anahata Asana, keep the knees and hip width, keeping the hips, the tailbone over your knees, so you're in tabletop. And there's a few different variations, again, seeing what feels comfortable for your neck and your shoulders. So first variation, you might bring the forearms down, one on top of the other, and rest your forehead down on the arms. Second variation, you might wiggle the hands, the arms forward to bring your forehead down onto the mat, still keeping the tailbone lifted. Or second variation for today is reaching the arms out in front of you and resting your forehead down onto the mat. Or use the addition of a block if the mat's just that little bit too far, but it feels comfortable to extend the arms out in front of you. So focusing on the breath, whether you've landed in puppy pose or child's pose, and staying aware of how you feel in the pose. So make sure you're not collapsing down into the pose. Move or adjust how you've landed. So maybe you're in puppy pose and you wish to move into child's pose. Perfectly fine. Staying actively aware of how you're feeling in the pose. Few more breaths. When you're ready, starting to lift back up into tabletop. So bringing the hands onto the mat underneath the shoulders, bringing the knees onto the mat underneath the hips. Keep the hands nice and active, so you're spreading the fingertips nice and wide, pushing through the palms, the back of the knuckles, moving through your cat curls or cat and cow pose. So as you inhale, slowly and actively lift the chin and lift the tailbone, let the belly relax. And exhale, round through the spine, tuck the chin, the tailbone under. Inhale, lift the chin, lift the tailbone. Exhale, rounding through the spine, tuck the chin, the tailbone under. So see how slowly you can move. Almost be aware that you're moving through every vertebrae. So check that you're not sort of here, just throwing the body through the motions. If you wish to stay a little bit more active in your core, work with your belly breath. As you inhale, let the belly relax. As you exhale, rounding the spine, start to pull the belly in and up towards the spine. Inhale, let the belly relax as you lift the chin, lift the tailbone. Exhale, around the spine, draw the belly in, engaging in the core. Inhale, lift the chin, lift the tailbone, let the belly relax. Exhale, rounding through the spine, tuck the chin, the tailbone under. 2 more. Last one. And slowly moving back to tabletop. So from here, we're going to go through thread the needle. So I'm going to show you this one from the front first. So you might want to watch this one through from the front, and then I'll show you from the side. So we're going to be lifting the right arm straight up to the ceiling. So we get into this open twist. If it feels comfortable in your neck, lift the chin, look up. And then we're going to scoop the arm under the left arm, bringing the back of the hand, the elbow, your shoulder and your ear down. We want to stay active through this left hand, this left arm. So rather than collapsing here and creating no space for the chest, gently push through the left arm and roll or push yourself back. So you're pushing your left shoulder over your right, focusing on the breath. Make sure you're not pushing the shoulder up towards the chin. Then when we come out, we're going to push through that left hand to lift up and bringing the hand down. So I'll show you this one as we move into it. So do feel free to rewind this one if you know where you're going now. We're coming back to that right side because I wanted to show you from the front. So we're going to lift that right arm up, and then scooping the right arm under, bringing the hand down, the elbow, your right shoulder and your ear. Make sure you're not collapsing down here. So stay active through the left hand, just gently pushing the back of the shoulders back. Try to stay even, so make sure your weight's not leaning over to the right, so stay even through the legs. Focusing on the breath. Listen to your body. So if it becomes really painful, then always come out of a pose, but try to find that difference between discomfort that you can sit with or breathe through and pain. Obviously we don't want to feel pain in our practice, but sometimes we're not aware of what's just discomfort, especially in new poses or in poses where we feel quite tight. So when you're ready to release, we're pushing through the left hand. Lift your head, your right shoulder, the right arm up, reach the arm up, and then bringing the right hand down. So we're going to go straight into the left side. So you're going to lift that left arm up, scoop the arm through and under the right arm. So let your head, your shoulders relax, and make sure you're not collapsing here. So you want to push through that right arm, so you're pushing the right shoulder back. Make sure you're not lifting the right leg, so nice and even through the hands. Focusing on the breath. Again, listen to your body. If you're in a pose and you absolutely have to release it, then by all means listen to your body. Two more breaths. Last one. When you're ready, pushing through that right hand to lift your head up, the shoulder, lifting the left arm all the way up to the ceiling, and bringing your hands back down. Just go through your cat cows for a few rounds. Inhale, lift the chin and the tailbone. Exhale, rounding through the spine, tuck the chin and tailbone under. Inhale, lift the chin, lift the tailbone. Exhale, rounding through the spine, tuck the chin and tailbone under. Last one. And rounding. Find your way into your flat back and gently releasing to a comfortable seat. So if that means you need to have a block or a pillow or a cushion, do just grab that and pop that underneath your tailbone. Find what feels comfortable for you in the legs. You might have the legs crossed, you might have the legs extended out in front of you, knees bent. Sitting up nice and tall, We're going to reach both arms out in front of us, keeping the arms roughly in line with the shoulders, so you're not lifting the arms up. Take your right arm under the left, bending the elbows, bringing the hands to the shoulders. So the right hand finds your left shoulder, left hand finds your right shoulder. So you've got the left elbow on top of the right. So staying here, if that's comfortable, achievable, attainable in your arms and your shoulders. So we're going to have a look at the 4 different stages of Garandasana arms or eagle arms. So this might be your variation, and you're welcome to stay here. So there's no need to push or force yourself into a pose. Or you might have a go with lifting the hands, but keep the elbows sort of bound or locked together, so you're not releasing the elbows. And maybe you sit here with this karate chop type of pose or placement for the arms. So the hands are drawing together, but they don't quite meet. So you might start to feel this a little bit more across the shoulders. If that feels comfortable, stay there, or go back to the first variation. Or maybe you're going for the third variation where the hands start to meet, so they're back to back. From there, you might be able to draw the right hand towards you, then across to the right and holding on or finding the left palm with the right fingertips. Keeping the left hand and the fingers pointing up towards the ceiling. Focusing on the breath. When you're ready, slowly releasing, just giving the shoulders a little shrug. And stretching the arms out, this time left arm under the right, bend the elbows, bring the hands to the shoulders. So this time the right elbow should be on top. Always start with the first variation, so we always work our body asymmetrically. You either are very dominant with your right hand or your left hand or your right foot or your left foot, even the hips and the shoulders. So try to make sure that you always come back to that first variation. Notice any difference, right side, left side. You're more than welcome to stay here, especially if this is where you feel comfortable and you can feel that nice stretch, or have a go with lifting the hands. So we find that second variation, or karate chop, keeping that bind in the elbows. So if you're finding that you can bring the hands together but the elbows are relaxed, you're not going into the stretch. Maybe the hands find their way back to back, but the elbows are still connected or locked. Or perhaps you try in the last variation, bring that left hand towards you, across to the left, and find your right palm with the right fingers pointing up to the ceiling. Slowly releasing, give the shoulders a little shrug. Remember, if you need to, do change how you're landing in the seat. So from here, arms can be relaxed, hands might rest on the thighs or the knees. Stay with your breath. As you exhale, start to take one ear over to the shoulder. Inhale, lift your head back up. Exhale, releasing over to the other side. Inhale to lift. Exhale, releasing. Inhale, lifting. Exhale, releasing. And you're welcome to stay here, just moving with the breath. Or maybe it feels quite nice to stay on one side for a few rounds of breath. So you might start to feel a little bit more down across the top of the shoulder. If you want to go more into the shoulder blade, just start to tuck the chin into the chest, but still keeping the ear over by the shoulder. Maybe you want to go through the collarbone a bit more, so still keeping the ear by the shoulder, but starting to lean back. When you're ready, lifting back to centre and releasing over to the other side. So again, you might be staying with the breath, or maybe you're just pausing on one side for a few rounds of breath. Maybe it's nice just to gently release across the neck and the top of the shoulder. You might start to tuck the chin to the chest, fingers a little bit more into the shoulder blade, so the back. Or still keeping the shoulder and the ear near each other, so you're not lifting your head back up, but you're leaning or starting to push your head back. You start to feel this through the front of the body, the front of the shoulder blade. Whenever you're ready, coming back to centre. If it felt nice to hold the pose, you've got one more variation. So as you lean over to the side, whatever side shoulder you're leaning over to, use the same side arm and take your arm over your head. Just gently place a hand onto the other ear. So just using that little bit of weight to help draw into the neck. And if you wish to go a little bit deeper, the other arm, stretch it out to the side. Nice. Slowly bring that hand back to the thigh as you lift the other arm up and down, lifting your head back up. Then changing sides, take the ear over to the shoulder. You might stay here. Whichever shoulder you're drawing close to, use that arm, lift it up and over, place the hand gently onto the ear. That might be enough, or stretch the other arm out to the side. You can stay in these poses to stretch for as long as it's comfortable. Really nice ones to do first thing in the morning, so as you're aware, most of this practice is seated. So you might have a go with this one sitting on your bed first thing in the morning, just to release the neck. Bringing the hand back down to the thigh, lift the other arm up, and releasing, lifting your head back up. Just give the shoulders a little shrug. So from here, we're going to move into Gomukhasana arms. And I want you to try and hold this one for as long as it feels comfortable. Again, as I've already said, throughout this practice, do release a pose if it feels painful, but try and notice that difference in your body, in your practice. Do you try to jump out as soon as you feel that discomfort, or are you releasing because it feels painful? So we want to try and stay active. We want to go into the stretch, so we start to pinch off the shoulder blades. So you will feel that it will go a little bit numb and tingly. It's perfectly fine, because as soon as you release, what you're doing it then is almost like opening the floodgates, and you're letting all that circulation of your blood come back into the arm, and that's what helps to replenish and relieve the shoulder muscles. So we're going to take our right arm straight up. Imagine someone's holding or drawing that arm up, so you might start to feel this through the armpit, down the sideways, the obliques into your hip. From here, bringing your right hand down in between the shoulder blades or onto the shoulders just below the neck, and take your left hand across. Just place the fingertips just above the armpit. So we want to try and walk the hand up and down the triceps, whilst encouraging that right elbow to stay up. So notice whether you're starting to get passive. Are you letting the arm drop? Or can you stay active and keep the elbow pointing up towards the ceiling? Gently pushing the fingertips into the triceps. So if you've worked with the Aries sequence, this area of the body was most likely aching a day or 2 or 3 or 4 afterwards. And if it feels a bit gristly, it might mean that you need to check in with your hydration levels. So it's just a nice way to just double check where they're quite superficial, they're quite close to the surface. So you might stay here, or take your left arm over your head and hold on to your right elbow. Just start to nudge it down the back. Now, I don't know about you, but my right arm is starting to feel a bit numb and tingly. And this would be where most of us would want to release it, but can you sit there just for a few more moments? When you're ready, keep the right arm where it is, releasing your left arm. Stretch the right arm up towards the ceiling, working from your shoulder. How slowly can you float the arm down in front of you? Ooh, and all the way down into the lap. Give the fingertips a wiggle, give the shoulders a shrug. So we know what we're going to be doing with the left arm, so don't rush. We're going to take that left arm up to the ceiling, and then imagine someone drawing you up, pulling that arm up very gently. So you might start to feel a bit more in the armpit, the sideways, the hip, focusing on the breath. From here, slowly bend into the elbow, bringing the hand to the shoulder blades. Make sure the elbow is pointing out. So remember, active or passive. We're here, but we're not really here. So we want to stay active in that stretch. We can take the right hand across this time. Just place the fingertips to the top of the armpit, very gently pushing into the tricep as we walk up and down. And again, stay active. So it's not like you're just tapping onto the flabby parts of the arms, pushing in and finding that muscle, that muscle that you've been working with very, very intensely over the last few weeks. And you might stay there, or you might take that right arm over your head, holding onto the elbow, focusing on the breath. Again, checking in. Does it start to feel a bit numb and tingly? You're almost pinching the shoulders. Few more moments. So we can release the right arm, straighten the left arm, from your shoulder gently floating all the way down. Ooh, nice. Give the fingers a bit of a wiggle and just gently shrugging the shoulders. And once the hands, the arms don't feel too numb and tingly, we're going to move into a bit more of a elbow circle shoulder shrug. So we're going to take the hands onto the shoulders, lift the elbows up so they point out to the sides, and imagine that you're drawing a circle with your elbows. So you're going to be drawing the elbows forward and around and back, or maybe you're going back, around and forward, because some people like to shrug their shoulders back, some people prefer to shrug their shoulders forward. But we're going to be going in both directions. Keep the movement really slow. So Taurus is all about how slow can you go, being very deliberate and attentive in your movement when you're already changing directions. And the shoulders might be crunching or clicking or popping. Changing directions. We've got one more pose after this one. One more posture. Slowly releasing. So just interlace the fingers in front of you. And so we know how we're interlacing the fingers naturally without thinking about it. Take the hands behind your back and interlace the fingers. So I'm just going to show you this from the side. So you're taking the hands behind the back, interlacing the fingers. And again, notice, are you passive? Or can you actively start to roll the shoulders down the back, squeeze the shoulder blades together, lift the hands away from your back. Maybe you start to activate and draw the hands back even further. See what's comfortable in the neck, so you might keep the chin tucked in, you might be looking forward, you might be looking up. Slowly releasing. And then from here, bring the hands back round in front of you and interlace the fingers. So this is almost like a passive active movement, because you're actively interlacing the fingers, but we're doing it without thinking. We just actively or passively, go into this link without thinking about it. So look down and see whether you have your right index finger or your left index finger on top. Let me know in the comments below whether you actively or naturally, I should say, naturally passively go into your interlace with the right index finger on top or the left index finger on top. So looking down, which side have you got that you just naturally think about, naturally go into without thinking about? I'm getting so tongue-tied today, but we're getting there. Now what I want you to do is to uninterlace and then interlace the fingers the wrong way around. So if you had the right index finger on top, you should now have the left. If you had the left index finger on top, you should now have the right. So you're now doing this in front of yourself. You might find that you're doing this, that you're not sure. So just be aware that you want to move that hand down, so the other index finger is now the one on top. Have a go, take the hands behind you and see if you can interlace with the other index finger on top now. And again, go into that active stretch. Roll the shoulders down the back, squeeze the shoulder blades together, draw the hands away from the back. You might be looking forward, you might be looking down, you might be looking up to the ceiling, just focusing on the breath. When you're ready, gently releasing, give the shoulders a little shrug. So thank you very much for joining me for this focus on our shoulders, our upper body, finding that fluidity and nourishment and flexibility after working with our mobility and strength in our Aries practice. If you haven't already, please do subscribe, and I'll pop a couple of practices here that you might want to have a go with after this practice. Thank you for joining me, and I shall see you next week. Namaste.